Hello and welcome to the MyVA Dayton podcast, coming to you from Dayton, Ohio. This is the show where we talk with veterans in the Western Ohio region to share their stories and share what's happening at the Dayton VA Medical Center. I'm Scott Leese, your host, with co-host Greg Tucker. And we have with us today a Navy veteran, originally from San Antonio, Texas, Gil Esparza. Is that the way you pronounce it? Gil Esparza?
That's correct, Gil Esparza.
All right, fantastic. Gil is actually from the Greene County Veteran Services office. Gil is the ninth of 14 children raised in Texas. He joined the Navy in 1978, serving until 1993. He moved to Ohio in 2007 and was employed as an adult probation officer, later becoming a member of the Veterans Treatment Court. For the past several years, Gil has been employed as a veteran service officer for Greene County Veteran Services. He also plays a vital role in an organization called Warriors on Wheels, a nonprofit cycling program for veterans and first responders. Welcome, Gil. We're thrilled to have you with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, now, before we get to know a little bit more about you, we're going to put you to the test. That's right. It's time to put you to the test. This is something we do with all our guests. It's time to play Don't Tell Me, I Think I Know That. This is the game where we put our guests to the test of their knowledge of military trivia. A game where our listeners can also play along to see if their minds are mired in mounds of military minutia as ours are. Are you ready to take the challenge?
I'm ready to roll.
All right. That's the attitude we like to hear. So here's your first question. What is another name for a satellite antenna on ship or shipboard? Would it be A, a trash can, B, spikes, C, ugly, or D, pancake?
That would be a trash can.
That is correct. Yes, the antennas on board ship are shaped like half a trash can and have an autocorrect gyro in them to track the satellite while the ship is moving. Now, here's your second question. What do the initials CGN signify? Would it be A, guided missile cruiser, conventional powered, B, guided missile cruiser, nuclear powered, C, combat missile cruiser, or D, guided cruiser?
That would be V, guided missile cruiser, nuclear powered.
You've got it. Yes, the letters CGN stand for Cruiser, Guided Missile, Nuclear. All these classes of ships have been decommissioned. Only 9 were ever built, with 3 of them USS Bainbridge, USS Long Beach, and USS Truxtun, essentially unique vessels, each an entirely new class of ship. The rest belong to the California class and the Virginia class. So here's your third and final question. Okay, now this, we've been testing you on your Navy knowledge. This is really more in general to military trivia and specifically to bicycling, which you are very familiar with. So when was the bicycle first used under fire in combat use? Would it be 1850, 1840, 1870, or 1890?
It'd be C, 1870.
That is the right answer. You got 3 out of 3. Fantastic. So yes, the first alleged use of the bicycle under fire came during the Franco-Prussian War of 1870, when messengers rode high-wheeled bicycles carrying dispatches from headquarters to troops and back. And that's that bicycle with the one big wheel and the one little small wheel. So how would you like to be under fire on one of those things? I think I'd pass on that.
Yeah.
So, Greg, what has Gil won for playing our game today?
Well, Gil, we have for you a set of 4 Dayton VA industrial strength chip clips designed by NASA's aerospace engineers to keep your chips crisp on your next stellar space journey or ride, or wherever you may be traveling in the near future. Compliments of the Dayton VA.
And I bet you're familiar with those chip clips,
Yes,
aren't you?
yes.
Everybody loves those chip clips. So we're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll hear more from Navy veteran Gil Esparza about his work with Warriors on Wheels.
When I left the military, I had an issue with my hearing. I never had it checked then, but it continued to get worse as the years went on. I went to the VA. They helped me receive a disability rating so that I was eligible to receive care at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone,
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
but treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
And we're back with Gil Esparza, a Navy veteran with the nonprofit Warriors on Wheels. So tell us, Gil, your organization Warriors on Wheels is a nonprofit that takes donated bicycles and refurbishes them for use for our veterans and first responders. How does bicycling benefit a person mentally and physically?
Well, cycling has been instrumental in changing me mentally and physically. It provides, reduces anxiety. Just 30 minutes on a bicycle gives you like a new breath in life. It reduces anxiety. It helps you with coordination. You're working muscles that you probably never used, even when you walk or run. If you're clipping in, you're using muscles pushing and pulling. Your heart cardio becomes better. Waistline gets thinner. Joints feel better. And I find that whenever I have a difficult decision in my life, I get on my bike and at least ride for a half hour before I make that decision.
And that really helps clear your mind.
Gives my clarity and reduces my anxiety. So it's been very beneficial to me in my life.
Gil, if we can kind of go into how did you get started with the Warriors on Wheels? Or tell us your story. I know you had kind of gave me a little bit of it.
Yeah, well, I got activated during the Gulf War, and I was injured in 1993, and had suffered a spine and lumbar injury, and I was having a difficult time running and doing the things that I was used to doing as a pretty active former military guy, and I was having quite a pity party, really being bothered with anxiety, depression, and I was arriving home from church one day on a Sunday and stopped at a yard sale and bought one of these old bicycles that are made of steel, and just out of clear, I just decided to buy a bicycle. And
not this is a brand endorsement, but what brand was it?
It was the old Schwinn.
I knew it. You could say
the old
that.
Schwinn, the monster that weighed like 50 pounds. But I started riding it just to see. I wanted to do something because I was just isolating, depressed. I'd gone through divorce. I was in a yucky spot. And when I got on the bike, I started riding in the afternoons after work, and I started getting this little spring in my walk. And slowly I became the guy with a bike through the city, and because I rode it everywhere, wore it out, bought another one, and then just kept buying more and more. I started finding that my mental and physical health was getting better. So I just kept riding. And that's what really got me on a bicycle, and it was in the early 90s, about 91, 92.
And so how did that grow into a nonprofit?
Well, I used my GI Bill to go to school after getting medically discharged from the military. Went to a review board in D.C. I wanted to stay in, but because of my the work that I did, they suggested it'd be better that I get out and, do something different. So I went to school using the Chapter 31 program, which is amazing. Highly recommend men and women that have struggled with physical issues and other things to get into that program. Once I got into the Chapter 31 program, I went into criminal justice background, and that's when I became a probation officer, working with at-risk people. They were caught in the justice system, and part of being a probation was making sure that you were present, that you showed up, that you were clean, that you did what you were supposed to do and follow the plan.
Well, not just in court, but also other programs and your job and other activities in the community.
Absolutely.
So and so this helped those veterans who were
they were missing
in jeopardy.
Yeah, they were missing appointments, and I saw that our city was one of the number one places for riding a bike, with miles and miles of bike trails, and most of them lived off the bike trails. So I started buying bikes myself, fixing them up, and presenting them to the men and women that were in the program, and they stopped missing their appointments, and they started feeling better mentally, physically. They started holding themselves accountable, and I would ride with them as an officer, and they said, that's kind of weird, you shouldn't be doing that, but I was cool with it. So that's kind of how that started, and I created a program called Wheels of Victory, and helping people stuck in the judicial system. And that's when I started seeing our veterans get stuck in the courts and in the jails, and I was like, man, something's not right here.
Yeah.
And
so getting involved in this program helped them. How did it help them? How did it keep them on the path to the straight and narrow, as they say?
Well, for one, they had to commit to me for a year, meaning that they had to agree to ride with me every week. They had to agree to wear safety gear. They had to agree to stay sober, stay clean. And we would do community outreach projects together. So we started riding like 3 days a week and on the weekends. And as a result, it just started growing to the point where the judge put a bicycle rack in front of the courthouse that was never there before. So now you start seeing bikes parked
So
there.
even the court recognized the value of this program.
Our judge was just so, avid cyclist himself. He joined us on our rides, and I created Warriors on Wheels, and everybody has a Warriors on Wheels shirt that rides with us. They get a warrior kit when they become part of our tribe, cycling tribe, I call it. And I found that what they were doing is they were just happier. They were showing up. They were more talkative. They couldn't wait to go for another ride. They say, hey, are we riding today?
Yeah.
Well, it's not on schedule, but yeah, we can ride.
So would it be that these guys had found a connection that they might have had in the military that they didn't have on the outside?
Yeah, as I think about it now, I remember when I was discharged and how alone I felt, because I was attached to a special boat unit, SBU 24 out of Little Creek, Virginia, and we PT'd, we ran, we did everything together. It was to the right, to the left, as most Marines know, and anybody else in the military. So it brought that camaraderie back. I was with like-minded people that served. We knew our MOSs, we knew our rates, and it became this brotherhood and sisterhood connection. And I started hearing, that's the biggest thing that I've missed when I've gotten out of the military. I've lost my band of brothers. And every time I talk about it, I get teary-eyed, because seeing these men and women when they receive their bike is just like,
yeah.
And then becoming part of the tribe is just amazing.
Right, and that's something that not everybody understands. Not every one of our listeners is a veteran, and a lot of them don't have that experience of having that connection with your, as they say, the band of brothers or sisters. It's a different world. You leave that behind, and you leave your extended family behind. It's just like if you had cut off half of your family.
Yeah.
Now, Gil, there was something in Dayton Daily News. Tell us about that right there. Your organization was recognized for something.
Actually, I was at a city meeting because of the new Veterans Memorial that we're putting up in Greene County. I'm on the committee for it to build a beautiful facility that'll honor all our men and women that served. And there was a reporter there when we were doing the photo op. She says, "Hey, I heard them talking about Warriors on Wheels. That's exciting to me. Can we meet and talk about it?" So me and a couple of the guys from the Warriors tribe got on our bikes and rode to meet her for lunch, and sat around and talked, and she wrote a pretty beautiful story about the work that we're doing.
So tell us how you went from your original program to the now Warriors on Wheels.
Well, I was attending a men's Bible study on Monday nights called Men of Victory. And it was just to hold ourselves accountable in the community with our families and in our workplace. And while I was doing the Wheels of Victory, working with drug-addicted people on drugs and alcohol and that are stuck in the system and have nowhere to go, I got them involved and created the Wheels of Victory. And again, it was similar to the same concept. No transportation, lost license, bike gets you from point A to point B, and it helps you physically and mentally. When I, as a probation officer, when I started seeing the men and women in uniform that had disconnected after leaving the service to their tribe, that self-medicated for whatever reason, suffering from post-traumatic stress, physical injuries, and hidden injuries that we don't see, they were just sitting in the jail, and I said, that's my tribe. So I started Warriors on Wheels cycling and modeled it after the Wheels of Victory, but to impact veterans. And I did not want to leave the first responder community because they carry the same wounds that we do that we don't see.
Right. So tell us how folks connect today with your cycling team, with your Warriors on Wheels.
Our website is under construction. We have a Facebook page that's very active, has quite a few followers. We were privileged to present a bike to a female Army veteran that served in Iraq yesterday. She's pretty excited. You can follow us on Facebook at Warriors on Wheels. Like I said, our website is under construction, and hopefully we should have that in by the end of the month and active and up and running. But
now, can anyone be a part of your organization?
Oh yeah. We sometimes get calls from social work agencies and children's services that say, "Hey, Gil, I have this mom with a child that wants to ride to help reduce weight, and I thought about you guys." And I met the family. A young boy who had autism, high-functioning autism, and needed training wheels. And we put him on a sweet bike with training wheels, got him his little helmet. We went to the 9/11 Memorial in Beaver Creek, Ohio, and man, he rode left and right, and he was so excited. So we don't turn people away if we can help them.
Right.
But our mindset and our mission is enhancing the lives of veterans and first responders through cycling.
Okay, so it's basically veterans or veterans related or first responders.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, now with the bikes, everybody doesn't have a bike. So how are you fulfilling that need?
Well, originally my wife says I was putting too much of my own money in it. And so she's kind of the brains behind everything now, and we get some really neat donations. And the article that Dayton Daily did on us really pushed it in a different level. Surviving spouses of veterans that served, that passed, said that the story moved them, and they wanted to help the foundation. They donated bikes, they donated funds. And we're allowed to, it allows us to be able to purchase more bikes.
Sure, absolutely. If anybody had any interest in donating a bike or making another donation, how can they do that? Or are there other ways that they can help other than donating a bike or a financial contribution?
Oh yeah, we when we do group rides, they can help by coming out and volunteering. When we do events, they can come and volunteer, come alongside us. When we do our community service projects with our team, they can find us on Facebook at the Warriors on Wheel Cycling. It has all our information with our email that they can connect with us to see how they can help, and whether it's donating a bike, donating a helmet. We never want to not provide a helmet for a cyclist.
Now, we're going to get ready to go to break. But when we come back, we want to talk to you about how the VA played a integral part for us into getting this started. So we'll talk to Gill once we come back from break.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Jerry Reed.
Kate Weber.
These are real veterans facing a real challenge.
I have PTSD.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
Post-traumatic stress disorder can happen to anyone,
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
but treatment can turn your life around.
Treatment has really saved my life.
To learn about PTSD and how treatment can help you, call your local VA medical center or visit ptsd.va.gov.
The Dayton VA changed my life. There was a time I was jobless and homeless, didn't know where to turn for help. I felt like there was no hope for me. Then I learned about the Dayton VA. They helped me find the help I needed to get back on track. I received support, got a job, found a place to live. I got my life back.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's MyVA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
And welcome back. Now, Gil, just before we went to break, you were going to tell us how the VA played a major part as far as in the cycling.
Well, one of the things I can say is that my VA treatment team is, for me, second to none. My doctor, my PT team, prosthetics team, my mental health team has been so instrumental in where I am today. And I continue to work with them regularly through Zoom meetings, classes. But Dr. V has been my godsend. And because I can't run, I took up cycling, and cycling has been everything to me. I average 12 to 1,700 miles a year on my bike. I'm way below that from a fall I had in August of last year that caused another concussion. I'm a TBI from active duty. So I had a really bad fall and suffered a post-concussion syndrome where my balance was just completely jacked. The VA was very, very helpful in putting me into the vestibular therapy program to help me get balance back. My therapist wanted me to use a cane, but I was totally against it. But she was really, really helpful. I went through the vestibular therapy 3 months, and I wanted to get back on my bike, but my balance is still not where I need to be. And I spoke to Dr. V, and she said, hey, let me connect you with prosthetics. And the rest is history. My prosthetics team came alongside me like a band of brothers and sisters. They worked my knees, they worked my hips, they worked my balance. And because I ride so much, they provided my bicycle for me, which is Warrior One. And I ride with other veterans that have been recipients of bikes to our prosthetics team that are double amputees, and I can barely even keep up with them. But had it not been for my VA team, my treatment team, I probably would have been spiraling down from not being on my bike. And now my bike's, she's pretty nice. Yeah, and our prosthetics team provided it for me.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's how the VA is really, they're my go-to.
Okay, because you were telling me the story that they hadn't had the bicycle program, and they spoke with you about.
Yeah, I was talking to prosthetics and making sure that I had the proper bike, and we were getting to figure out, well, how am I going to get this bike? And prosthetics says, the director there says, hey, Gill, we do not have an Ohio connection for bikes for our warfighters. And I said, well, man, I know the best cycling companies in all of Ohio. And he says, maybe you can help us get a vendor that will help our veterans with bikes and not only provide the bike, but repair them for them and keep them up to date. So I started working with our bike that has come alongside Warriors on Wheels, and that's K&G Cycle out of Ohio. And they became a vendor right away, worked with prosthetics. Within a month, they were one of our vendors here. So now Dayton VA prosthetics team and medical center has a bike vendor that can provide bikes for our veterans, and not only provide them, but take care of them. They just tuned mine up for me, and I'm back on the road. But it just, that's how it ended.
And so when you're talking about bikes, they don't have just normal bicycles too. They also have some bicycles that are customized, like the reclining bicycles and so forth. So if there's somebody with a physical need that they can't use a traditional bicycle, these are special bicycles, aren't they?
Yes. They're very, very special. They're designed with lumbar specialties, hand positioning, leg rest. Everything is specialized on that type of bike for our veterans that have that need. You have to qualify for it, for one, based on the need that you have, but most importantly, you have to be a person that is active on a bicycle. You don't want to get you a bike and just let your bike sit. We want you to use it because it's going to, one, reduce your anxiety, two, provide mental clarity, cardio health. Just everything's going to change for you. Like, I mean, it's just an amazing thing.
Right. So as you were talking about, there's all these trails around and that you can ride as a group. But if there's an individual who wants to go solo, you also do the system where you're tracking miles, correct?
Yes.
So you can do it as an individual. You can do it as part of a group. So if you're the kind of person who needs that support from a group, or if you're just like, hey, I got to get out there. I got to get out there now. I'm not waiting around for the group. There's that.
Absolutely.
There's that too.
Yeah, we ride Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, or Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays. I'm able to ride anytime, early morning or afternoon. Many of our veterans still work. Our first responders still work. So we do an evening ride. What's been really beautiful about Warriors on Wheels is some of the men and women that are on our tribe have just been wrapped around cycling, and they've become what we call Warriors on Wheels ambassadors. And one of those guys is Zach Haney, man. He's a U.S. Marine, and this guy, we provided a bike for him, and within 4 months of receiving his bike, he logged 1,700 miles in 4 months, and he's our ambassador for Warriors on Wheels. And this devil dog's just, who was suffering from severe post-traumatic stress from, he was with the 1-2, and they took a lot out there, and it's changed his life. It completely changed his life. So Zach will ride with you whenever. He comes alongside you, but he's this amazing ambassador for us. And
so you've got like buddies that take the time out for your schedule, not you have to schedule around somebody else's schedule.
And we'll come on, the new riders, we come alongside them and really take our kid glove approach with them. Some of our riders are averaging 19 to 26 miles an hour. Some are doing 6 to 9 miles an hour. Our average speeds are anywhere from 16 to 22 miles an hour. But not everybody can do that, so we want to be able to dial it down for just a leisure ride. Stop on the trail, have a powwow. How's your life going, man? Tell me how your week's been. Everything okay at home? Yeah. What can we do to help you? And then we move on. Do another 5 miles.
That's fantastic. That's quite inspirational, actually. It's great to know that veterans have that service and capability out there.
It provides accountability for each other as well. Hey, you enjoy the ride today? Was everything all right?
Yeah.
you ready to ride tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about Dr. Venable earlier.
Dr. V, that's my girl.
Yeah. Tell us about your overall experience with the Dayton VA.
Well, when I first started at Dayton VA, it was really rough. I was in a bad place. I was just in a bad place mentally, emotionally. I flunked out of CBT like 3 times. I just didn't want to engage. I was just continued to isolate. I finally got a grasp of it and started saying, okay, there's, if I go through my trauma, the chances are that the more I understand it, the better I'll be able to deal with it. And it started clicking with me. And coupled with cycling, it started changing everything. My treatment team, Dr. Venable, she's just inspirational. It's like she knew when something was clicking with me. So she read me, would bring somebody in to talk to me. When I fell, I went into a spiral depression because I thought my cycling was over with. And man, she propped me right back up, connected me to my mental team. I got back in the groove, got with prosthetics, got back on the bike. And
who'd you work with in prosthetics?
He's the director. I worked with a couple of people there.
Tim Gaston?
Yeah, Tim.
Tim, yeah.
Yeah, Tim was awesome. I mean, he called me back. He answered my calls. He returned them. He said, hey, Gil, here's what we got for you. Get this back to me. By the way, we don't have an Ohio connection. Can you help me?
Yeah.
I said, yes. And then my physical therapist, can't remember her name, but man, she was outstanding, working my knees and helping me with my legs. But I can call Dr. Venable for anything. And that's one of the things I encourage our men and women that say, well, they don't do this. I said, oh, time out, ceasefire. I said, get over here. Let's talk about this. Tell me why you feel this way. And it's because they really don't know how to maneuver the system. They don't realize that they can go on va.gov and you're not just going to see that little bottom thing. If you go to the bottom and scroll, you could get everything the VA has, but most of our men and women don't know that. And there's so many things that we can do with nutrition, with, diabetes health, you name it, eating right, shopping correctly.
Yes, absolutely.
But they don't understand that, so they get angry because they can't control what they want to control.
Right. The VA actually has a great program called the MOVE program.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Which helps inspire and track you and keep you on course to actually weigh yourself every day, to take your blood sugars every day, to take your blood pressure, report those numbers every day.
We had a veteran that was in the MOVE program.
Yeah.
In the Veterans Treatment Court. And during a court hearing, the judge asked him why he hadn't been going.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, it's just not for me, Judge. So the judge looks over at me and says, Gil, you think he can do a bike? I said, we can get him on a bike, Judge.
Absolutely.
We presented his bike to him in the courthouse, and within a month and a half of getting his bike, he lost 38 pounds.
Wow.
And it changed everything. Not everybody can go 3 times a week. But boy, they can get on a bike in the afternoons and ride with us. And so it changed everything. But my thing is connect with the VA.
Yeah.
Ask those questions. And as a former VSO, my objective was to make a relationship with the people of the VA. And in doing so, we had this conduit of communication that I was now able to connect other veterans to. So the VA is my number one, man.
Yeah. So when you were talking about being in the court system and talking to those veterans who may not trust the VA or may not know how to navigate the VA, as you said, what was the biggest challenge for you? And especially as a veteran service officer, what's your biggest challenge when talking to those folks? What do you tell them?
The biggest challenge for me in talking to them is convincing them that connection to your treatment team is key in a positive outcome in your life, whether it's your knees, your hips, your ankles, your diabetes, your heart issues. You know, our young men and women that are coming back, our young warfighter is probably the most difficult because they have a lot of self-isolation issues with severe post-traumatic stress. So the trust, they don't want to show their silent wounds. So Warriors on Wheels cycling really helps in opening them up, which now allows them to get into their treatment programs.
Right. And you talk about the younger vets coming back from post 9/11.
Yeah.
That's something that we've been talking a lot about on these podcasts are the fact that we have a recently signed legislation by the president about the PACT Act, the Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxins Act, which is actually opening up healthcare to more than 6 million veterans that weren't eligible before, that they didn't have that service connection, that now because of presumptive conditions associated with service with boots on the ground during certain campaigns, that now they don't have to prove it. They just have to show that they've had some kind of issue that is presumed that they received exactly that they got that issue from serving in a certain window, in a certain environment, in a certain theater. So that's huge. And again, we encourage everyone to register with the PACT Act. That's at you can go to PACTACT.gov, PACTACT.gov. Register whether you have a presumptive condition or not, and it shows you all the presumptive conditions. Yeah, exactly. Get on that registry in advent of needing that care. Don't wait till you need it. Go ahead and get on the registry, and if something were to come down the pike and you all of a sudden need that care through the VA,
absolutely.
You got
a lot of our, I'd say 60% of the people on our cycling tribe is former Marines and Army, and they're between 22 and 29 years of age.
Mm-hmm.
That's the majority of the people that ride with us. And one thing I find with each one of them is they have this nagging cough that doesn't go away, and then none of them smoke. But when they're on their bike, they're fine. It's just the strangest thing, and only now we're able to tell them, hey, the PACT Act is passed. Let's get you registered in the burn pit registry. Let's get you registered in the PACT Act.
Absolutely.
So they're finally saying, yes.
It's a story I don't think I've told on this podcast yet, but I've told a lot of other people that, yes, I served in Bahrain.
Yeah.
And I served in that window, that time frame. And one of the things on the presumptive conditions was interstitial lung disease. And I have been hospitalized twice for having an interstitial pneumonitis that the doctors came up to me and said, do you work on a bird farm? Do you got a lot of birds in the house? Do you work in a chemical plant and so forth? I said, no, I'm in public affairs. The worst I've ever gotten is a paper cut, and had to sit there and explain, no, I should be fine. And they're like, we have no idea why you have this. I've been hospitalized once because my oxygen level got down in the 50s, and the doc said, you're not leaving this hospital. We're going to put you in a wheelchair, and we're going to do exploratory surgery in a couple of days. And they still could not come up with a definitive answer as to where I had contracted this issue. And I have been in the hospital a couple of times before that, and I still have issues with shortness of breath, and had no inkling that it might have been this. And so, yes, I have gotten on there. I've filled out the paperwork. Within a couple of weeks, I got the paperwork that said, okay, we just need to get your medical records from the civilian hospitals where you were treated to get you that extra connection.
I'm Bahrain as well, Gulf War, and I've applied in the burn pit, and I'm service connected. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life. I'm an avid athlete, and I have reactive airway disease. I have to carry an inhaler. I have to take treatments, and something in the elements just trigger it.
Yes, exactly.
And
it's funny you said you're on the burn pit registry, and that's something that we need to clarify also, is that we want people to register for that burn pit registry, but at the same time we will also want them to get online and register for that PACT Act, because they're two different registries.
Absolutely.
And the PACT Act is far more
Far-reaching.
Far more reaching, yes.
Yeah.
It's widening the door
Oh, yeah.
completely. It's expanding health care for the VA like nothing has since World War II. So, but yes,
That's a plus
whether
plus.
it's Camp Lejeune
Yeah.
or Burn Pits or Agent Orange or whatever, we still want you to register
Gov.
on those different registries. But anyone that falls within the windows, definitely get on there
True.
and register with the PACTAC.gov registry.
Roger that. Absolutely.
Well, Gil, it's been fantastic having you here today. Great stories and great information for our vets. And I know there are going to be a lot of people reaching out to you here in the near future. I being one of them, probably.
Yes.
So
Come on.
we'll be on the trails together.
Join the tribe.
Happy trails.
Now,
All right, we appreciate you.
if I can say one thing
You got it, Greg.
before we leave here, our audience cannot see your sled. But if you
Yeah.
see this monster sled,
She's
it almost
beautiful.
looked like the Batmobile
Yeah. Pretty
on
much.
3 wheels.
Yeah,
right there.
she's sweet. Yeah, my Warrior One. She's a beauty. I'll send you a picture, man. Y'all
Yes.
can check it out.
We're gonna have that picture on the podcast website.
Oh,
Absolutely.
she's pretty. Yeah. Thank
Thank-
you, VA,
thank
for
you.
my sled.
All right. Thanks again, Gil,
You
for
got it,
coming
guys.
out today.
It's a pleasure. Appreciate you.
When I left the military, I had an issue with my hearing. I never had it checked then, but it continued to get worse as the years went on. I went to the VA. They helped me receive a disability rating so that I was eligible to receive care at the Dayton VA.
Don't wait another day to see how the VA may help you.
I'm a vet, and it's my VA. Make it your VA today.
To enroll, call 937-268-6511, extension 5336, or visit dayton.va.gov.
Hi, I'm Brandon, and I use the Dayton VA. For many, the years associated with their military service are the best of their lives. But that's not the case for all. There are those who have experienced firsthand the horrors of war or other traumatic experience while serving. They have seen or experienced things that cause them to suffer. 100 years ago, it was called shell shock, and not much was known about how to treat it. Today, we have advanced greatly and recognize it as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Post-traumatic stress disorder is a mental health problem that some people develop after experiencing or witnessing a life-threatening event like combat, a natural disaster, a car accident, or sexual assault. It's normal to have upsetting memories, feel on edge, or have trouble sleeping after this type of event. If symptoms last more than a few months, it may be PTSD. The Dayton VA can help you with effective treatments and support services like psychiatric and psychological counseling, services for veterans who are homeless, treatment for addictive disorders, or transition and care management for post-9/11 combat veterans of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and Operation New Dawn. If you or someone you know have symptoms of PTSD after a traumatic event, we can help at the Dayton VA Medical Center. We offer assessment and treatment support such as private counseling, group therapy, and medication. And these services are available at multiple convenient locations, not just at the Dayton VA Medical Center campus, but also at community-based outpatient clinics in Lima, Middletown, Richmond, and Springfield. It's never too late to get help. Call the Dayton VA Medical Center at 937-268-6511. Or, if you need help right away, call 1-800-273-8255 and press 1 if you're a veteran. Chat online with a counselor at www.veteranscrisisline.net or call 911 or visit a local emergency room. You are not alone. The VA is there to help. I'm Brandon. It's my VA. Make it your VA.
Hope. Where are you hiding? I search for you in the seconds, the minutes of each and every day. Hear me as I call out to you. Take my hand. Lift me up as I lift up others. Welcome me home. father, mother, sister, brother, son, daughter. Hear us now. Alone we stood, divided we fell. No longer. Now we choose to make the connection. Our new mission lies within. Visit maketheconnection.net to learn more.
We want to say thanks again to our special guests for taking time today to share their story. We truly enjoy hearing stories from veterans from across the region and learning more about how they found care through the Dayton VA Medical Center. And as always, we want to thank our listeners for joining us and remind them, if they are a veteran and are not enrolled, to enroll with the Veterans Health Administration to receive health care benefits through the Dayton VA Medical Center. It's easy and it doesn't cost a thing. You just need to be a veteran. The simplest way to start enrollment is to call our Enrollment and Eligibility Office at 937-268-6511, extension 4105. They can schedule an appointment for you to come to the Dayton campus or help make an appointment at one of the surrounding community-based outpatient clinics located at Springfield, Richmond, Lima, and Middletown. Again, that number is 937-268-6511, extension 4105. Veterans may also enroll by visiting www.choose.va.gov/health. While there, you can choose from applying online or by phone or by mail. It's just that simple, really. As I said before, it doesn't cost a thing to apply. So what are you waiting for? Call us today. Or if you know of a veteran who is not enrolled, have them call to start taking advantage of this benefit. If you're a veteran, it's your VA. Sign up today. Join us again for another episode of MyVA Dayton with the Dayton VA Medical Center. Our episodes drop the 1st and 15th of each month. I'm Scott Leese with your co-host Greg Tucker. Thanks again for listening to MyVA Dayton.